Welcome to our channel. Today, we pause to remember a life that touched hearts and left a lasting impact. We'll explore their journey, the challenges they faced, and the moments that made them unforgettable. Join us as we honor their story, celebrate their legacy, and reflect on the memories that will continue to inspire and live on in the hearts of those who knew them. Tragic news was confirmed on the quiet morning of February 17, 2026. In his home, surrounded by family, Jesse Jackson passed away at the age of 84. For many, the silence that followed felt heavy. It was hard to imagine a world without his steady and determined voice. Jesse Jackson was never just a speaker. He was a presence. For more than 5 decades, he stood on the front lines of America's fight for justice. His words carried both faith and fire. And even those who disagreed with him could not deny the power of his conviction. Born into humble beginnings in Greenville, South Carolina, Jackson understood struggle from an early age. He grew up in a divided America. Segregation shaped his childhood. But it also shaped his purpose. Education and faith became his foundation, guiding him toward leadership in a time of great unrest. In the 1960s, he met Martin Luther King Jr. That meeting changed his life. As a young minister and activist, Jackson became one of King's trusted allies. He marched, organized, and stood firm during some of the most dangerous moments of the civil rights movement. He was present in Memphis in 1968 when King was assassinated. The loss was personal. It was painful. Yet instead of retreating, Jackson stepped forward. He believed the dream must continue. Over the years, he built a national platform. Through activism, preaching, and later politics, he kept pressing for equality. He founded organizations that pushed for economic opportunity and voter rights. He ran for President of the United States, breaking barriers and opening doors for future generations. A former colleague once said, "Reverend Jackson never stopped believing that change was possible." That belief fueled his long journey. Whether speaking in churches, community halls, or on national television, he reminded people that their voices mattered. His speeches were not always calm. At times they were urgent. At times they were bold. But they always carried a clear message: dignity belongs to everyone. As the years passed, Jackson faced health challenges. Yet even in moments of weakness, his spirit remained strong. He continued to speak out when injustice surfaced. He called for unity during times of division. And he encouraged young leaders to rise. Following news of his passing, tributes poured in from across the nation. A civil rights leader wrote, "He gave us courage when we were afraid to stand." A former president shared, "Jesse Jackson helped shape the moral conscience of our country." On social media, thousands thanked him for a lifetime of service. For many Americans, he represented continuity. He was a living bridge between the era of marches and the modern fight for equality. He carried history in his memory. And he carried hope in his voice. His life was not without controversy. Public life rarely is. But even critics acknowledged his commitment. He was consistent. He was persistent. He refused to be silent when he believed something was wrong. Faith guided him through triumph and criticism alike. As a minister, he often reminded others that justice was not just political. It was spiritual. "Keep hope alive," he would say. Those words became a simple but powerful promise. In his final years, he moved more slowly. Yet the cause never left his heart. Visitors recall that he still spoke about fairness, about opportunity, about the next generation. His mission had become part of who he was. Now, as the nation reflects on his passing, his journey feels woven into American history. From the marches of the 1960s to the ballot boxes of later decades, Jesse Jackson stood firm. He believed that change was possible, even when the road seemed long. His voice may no longer echo in crowded halls, but its message remains. In classrooms, in churches, and in the quiet determination of young activists, his influence continues. Jesse Jackson leaves behind more than speeches. He leaves behind a legacy of courage, faith, and relentless hope. And in that legacy, his voice refuses to be silenced. Tragic news was confirmed on the morning of February 15, 2026. In his California home, surrounded by quiet and comfort, Robert Duvall passed away at the age of 95. The film world paused. One of the last great figures of Hollywood's golden age had taken his final bow. For more than 70 years, Duvall stood before the camera with calm strength. He did not chase attention. He did not need loud performances. His power came from stillness, from the way he could say so much with a single look. Born in San Diego in 1931, Duvall was raised in a military family. Discipline shaped his early years. But it was acting that captured his heart. After studying theater in New York, he began building a career one careful step at a time. His early work on stage and television showed promise. Yet it was in film that his presence truly began to shine. In 1972, he stepped into the role of Tom Hagen in The Godfather. Quiet, loyal, and steady, his character became unforgettable. Audiences saw a man who did not raise his voice, yet commanded respect. A fellow actor once said, "Robert didn't act. He lived inside the character." That truth followed him through every role. In Apocalypse Now, he delivered one of cinema's most memorable performances as Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore. His famous line about the smell of napalm became part of film history. Yet even in a loud and chaotic story, Duvall's control stood out. He reached a career peak in 1983 with Tender Mercies. Playing a broken country singer searching for redemption, he gave a performance filled with pain and grace. It earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor. But for Duvall, the honor was never the goal. The work itself mattered more. Directors trusted him. Co-stars admired him. Audiences believed him. Through decades of change in Hollywood, he remained steady. While trends shifted and new stars rose, Duvall stayed focused on truth in storytelling. He avoided fame's spotlight. He chose roles that felt real, even if they were small. A longtime friend shared after his passing, Bob cared about honesty. He wanted every scene to feel human. That quiet commitment became his signature. Off-screen, he valued privacy. He loved dance, music, and simple living. Those close to him often described him as thoughtful and direct. He did not pretend to be larger than life. He let the characters carry that weight. As news of his death spread, tributes poured in from across the industry. A respected director wrote, "He was the actor we all studied." A younger star posted online, "Robert Duvall showed us that strength can be silent." Across generations, his influence was clear. He worked well into his later years, proving that passion does not fade with age. Even in his 90s, he spoke about film with the excitement of a newcomer. He believed that every role still had something to teach him. Robert Duvall belonged to an era when films were built slowly, carefully, with patience. He carried that spirit forward. To many, he represented the last bridge to a time when storytelling came first. His passing feels like the closing of a chapter in American cinema. Yet his performances remain. They live in living rooms, classrooms, and theaters around the world. Each scene still carries his quiet intensity. In the end, Robert Duvall did not need grand gestures to be remembered. His legacy rests in the small moments, a glance, a pause, a steady voice that held emotion beneath the surface. As the curtain falls on his remarkable life, the screen still glows with his presence. And in those timeless performances, the last giant of Hollywood's golden age will always stand tall. Tragic news was confirmed on February 16, 2026. In the quiet of his Los Angeles home, Billy Steinberg passed away at the age of 75. The music world responded with a soft wave of remembrance. Another voice behind the soundtrack of a generation had fallen silent. Billy Steinberg was not always seen on stage. His name was not always in bright lights. But his words were everywhere. They played on radios, in cars, at weddings, and in bedrooms where young hearts were learning what love meant. Born in 1950, Steinberg grew up with a deep love for music and poetry. He understood early that songs were more than melodies. They were stories. They were feelings set to rhythm. And he had a gift for turning simple emotions into lines that stayed with people. In the early 1980s, he formed a powerful songwriting partnership with Tom Kelly. Together, they created songs that shaped the sound of pop music for years to come. Their writing felt honest and direct. It spoke to both joy and heartbreak. One of their biggest hits came with Like a Virgin, recorded by Madonna. The song became a cultural moment. It topped charts around the world. But beneath the bold image was a simple theme, the feeling of new love and new beginnings. Soon after, Steinberg and Kelly wrote Eternal Flame for the Bangles. The ballad carried softness and longing. Its quiet power touched millions. Even today, its melody brings back memories of young romance and late-night promises. A fellow songwriter once said, Billy had a way of writing what people were afraid to say out loud. That honesty became his signature. His lyrics were clear. They were emotional. And they felt real. Throughout the 1980s and beyond, his songs were recorded by some of the biggest names in music. Each track carried his careful attention to feeling. He believed a song should connect first with the heart. The charts, he often said, were secondary. In interviews, Steinberg spoke openly about writing from personal experience. He did not hide his struggles. He used them. The best songs come from truth, he once shared. Those who worked with him admired his vulnerability and his steady focus. As music styles changed over the decades, his influence remained. Many younger artists pointed to his work as inspiration. His melodies became part of pop history. They marked a time when lyrics and emotion led the way. After news of his passing spread, tributes filled social media. A well-known producer wrote, "Billy gave us songs that will live forever." A longtime friend shared, he never stopped believing in the power of a simple, honest line. Fans around the world posted memories tied to his music, first dances, first loves, and moments of healing. Though he stepped away from the spotlight in later years, Steinberg continued to mentor young writers. He encouraged them to trust their feelings. He reminded them that even quiet voices can create loud impact. His passing at 75 feels like the closing of a bright chapter in pop music. Yet his work remains alive. Every time a familiar chorus plays, his words return. They still carry longing. They still carry hope. Billy Steinberg did not need to stand center stage to change music. His gift was in the background, shaping the songs that shaped lives. His melodies crossed borders. His lyrics crossed generations. Now, as the world says goodbye, his music continues to play. In the soft glow of a radio at night, in the echo of a wedding hall, in the private space of a listener's heart, his songs endure. And in those timeless lines, Billy Steinberg's voice will always be heard, carried forward by the melodies that outlived the charts and found a home in memory.